Sorry about that. It's been a hot few days since I recorded a audio for this. I meant to do this probably about 3 days ago. Or maybe it's 2 days ago. Yo, I forget. Whatever. But either way, before I go into the reason as to why this video was delayed, let's go ahead and talk about this team real quick. So, Unbound Knight Arowell, Mercedes, and Apocalypse Ravi. So, naturally, there's really only going to be truly one threat that's on the team. Well, honestly, the answer's two threats, but all you really have to do is as soon as you deal with the Mercedes, then you just have one unit on the team, which is Apocalypse Ravi. That's only going to go into your Spirit Eye Celine. And as long as the Mercedes isn't there to fuck you over with Magic for Friends nonsense, which we've already gotten the first Magic for Friends here, and we had immunity or immortality up right here, along with attack buff. So even if she did strip, she'd only strip the attack buff, so we're 100% safe. Now all we really have to do is just go into the Mercedes until she's dead, then we kill her again because LOL, hey, why not? She just has 2 lives, because fuck it, right? So as soon as she's dead, then all you have left is Apocalypse Ravi. And of course there's Unbound Knight Arowell there, who's really, honestly, just there to waste your time. Like, seriously. And the only thing that kind of sucks about Unbound Knight Arowell being there is the fact that unless you kill her, your damage output is actually going to be reduced. So I don't think you'll actually have more healing to go into the Apocalypse Ravi. So that's pretty much why I decide as soon as the Mercedes is down, I think I'm going to go immediately into the Unbound Knight Arowell, so then I can go into the Apocalypse Ravi last. Because really, as long as you have a perfect light bait for the Apocalypse Ravi, in this case being Spirit Eye Celine, you're 100% safe. Nothing's going to really kill you. And we have Mediator Kawerik here just for the extra attack buff, so if you can manage to line it up just right so that you get the S3 off on Spirit Eye Celine, then you'll have perfect uptime on attack buff. And pretty much every single attack that you will deal, you're going to just heal yourself up to 100% because of how much damage you're doing and the fact that they buffed how much HP you're going to be getting back from any attack that Spirit Eye Celine's going to be doing. So, that pretty much being said, yeah, we've pretty much got this match in the bag now. So, just kill Unbound Knight Arowell, then you just kill Apocalypse Ravi. But the main reason why I was taking so long on getting this stuff done, a lot of it's just kind of personal. Like, for example, I was going to record this video on Tuesday. That was, 2 days ago. And the reason why I didn't was as soon as I got out of work on Tuesday, I was tired as fuck. So what I did was I went to go lay down, just take a quick little nap so that I would have some energy to do this. And by the time that I got back up, oh, hey, cool, it's 3 a.m. I was tired as fuck. And my whole week has been pretty fucking rough. I'll just go ahead and I'll say that. Like, a lot of it's mental and I just haven't had a good week. It's been a really, really rough last few days at work, but whatever. Let's go ahead and move on, shall we? So, Conqueror Lilias, and I believe this is Senya and Choux, correct? No, yeah, it is. So it's Conqueror Lilias, Senya, Choux. So they dreaded Senya, Choux, Conqueror Lilias combo. So what we're going to try and do is we're just going to see if we can just plop Navy Captain Landy onto just this team and just see how well it goes. Because naturally, when I first looked at this team, I was like, well, it's not going to go as well as I thought, is it? But it turns out it's going to go completely fine. The main reason why it goes completely fine is, one, you have crit resist on your other 2 units that it could possibly be taking hits, that being Shadow Knight Pyllis and Roana. And any and all counterattacks that you're going to do, the Roana is going to heal you up extremely well from that. And if you get really, really lucky on like all of your attacks, like I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I got really, really lucky for a lot of these attacks in general. I got a lot of Elbrus procs, I got a lot of additional attack procs, and I was just able to go absolutely ham-hocks wild into this team. So what I initially thought was going to be an issue is the fact that, oh, hey, this is one of the main reasons why I never bring Lone Crescent Bellona into a team like this, is because Lone Crescent Bellona, if she's ever blind and provoked, she's really going to run a very, very high risk of getting herself killed. Now, You could say it's probably a gear-related issue, maybe something like that, but honestly, when you look at it from this perspective, Navy Captain Landy just straight up has 70% crit resist just on her fucking kit, along with just straight up being immune to stun and sleep because fucking reasons. So those are like the three, like, some really, really big strengths that are about her. So the only things that are kind of bad about Navy Captain Landy is just the mere fact that she is very, very susceptible to debuffs. So if you see an opportunity to use her and she's not being like the brunt of the abuse in terms of debuff related shenanigans, so if you have any other unit that is able to tank instead of her, for example, like I won't actually use Navy Captain Landy against an Apocalypse Ravi because I think I'll just get fucking ground down from the injury that she's going to deal. But because we're not fighting Apocalypse Ravi, we don't have to worry about that here. And just the sheer amount of damage that she's going to dish out, if you happen to get lucky with counterattacks and Elbrus procs, you're going to fucking decimate the team. Which, case in point, there's the proof right there. So hey guys, you ready to see some war crime shit? So we're going to use the legendary rat herself, Choux, Desert Jewel Basar, and Troublemaker Crozet into a Fallen CC, a Mercedes, and a Rimuru. You're probably looking at that and then immediately thinking like, yo, is this motherfucker serious? He's really going to just like rely on Choux to get him the win here. You're 100% 100% correct, motherfucker. However, everything that I was planning out right here, it all doesn't work out 100% like I was initially planning. For example, this attack right here comes out, meaning I wasn't able to get the S3 out from Troublemaker Crozet, because honestly, I do not want that team to have crit resist of any kind. Because if I was able to get the S3 out, then the Rimuru would have been stolen my buffs that were going to be on my Choux, and then I'd have to deal with that shit here. Also, I didn't take into account, oh yeah, that's right, you're fighting Mercedes. That means magic for friends, and also possibly an S3. Oh fuck, Troublemaker Crozet is fucking dead. So right here, I'm already thinking, oh, okay, I've probably already fucking lost. But you know what? You just have to believe in the rat. And that's one death on Mercedes. Now, we pretty much have the opportunity to use the S3. Doesn't really matter, to be honest with you, because the main reason you want to use the S3 is in case other units get hit, which then has this happen. So, I guess you could say it was worth it to use the S3, because that's the only way that Choux will do counterattacks if another unit is hit. So, hey, cool, whatevs, works out. And now we have just the perfect opportunity, because of all the CR that we gained, that we can just go into the Mercedes. I decided to do an S2, but then I was like, nah, fuck it. What if I land a crit on the S1, and then I proc another S2 that'll go into the Rimuru after I already kill the Mercedes? That happens. And then here, I just see the opportunity, land the crit, and Shazam! I'm so fucking good at this game! Now, remember what I was saying earlier about Navy Captain Landy, and if you just straight up have a means of using her and she's not taking the hits, you pretty much have like a perfect opportunity of doing max level damage. This is pretty much that example. So this is where I'm a little bit concerned about like how absolutely ridiculous Navy Captain Landy actually is. Not from like an attacking perspective, even though it is kind of a concern, because when you use her on offense, it really makes a lot of situations very, very fucking easy. Because she just straight up has 70% crit resist, so is like a 30% chance of her getting crit at any time from any like DPS unit, and that's only going to be applied to like AoE attacks, pretty much. So right here we have Roana, who's basically tanking all of the hits from Ed. We have Choux, who's going to go into really any unit but Roana, depending on the HP values of our units. More than likely going to be Shadow Knight Pyllis, because the Arowell is also going to be going into the Shadow Knight Pyllis because of light and dark shenanigans. So ultimately, the one thing that we have to do is we just have to kill the Choux. So as soon as the Choux is dead, which straight up, their crit resist is already gone. Sure, I can't renew my crit resist on my team because that's the way in which Navy Captain Landy works. She just straight up gives it to the whole team for 2 turns at the very, very start, but then you can't renew it. But like, that's kind of like all you need, because that's just a means of preventing getting cleaved. Like, that's pretty much why it's there. And I mean, of course, whenever you're dealing with crit resist, it's a 50. It then turns like 100% into 50/50s. So then you just trigger a whole bunch of gambling related shenanigans, and that's kind of like the thing that I don't like about Navy Captain Landy is she feels like a very, very heavy gambling type unit. But at the same time, if you know what you're doing with her and you bring just the right units with you... So, for example, instead of bringing, say, Shadow Knight Pyllis, I could easily bring, like, Mediator Kawerik with me, and then I would have access to immunity, cleanse, and attack buff pretty much any time I fucking want. So that's that's a pretty big factor that you can really use to your advantage, especially because the only debuffs that Navy Captain Landy even has for this team in particular is just stun, and that's only going to proc Ed once. So the only thing that could really fuck me up is if, say, for example, this Ed was on injury, but he's not. So, yeah, pretty much anytime you use Navy Captain Landy on offense, the only things that you really have to be worried about is control. But then the options for control are honestly kind of low, because one, Navy Captain Landy is also immune to stun and sleep, because hey, that's fucking fair. And so you could use her into, like, say, Lua teams, for example. However, I tried that, and I really found that it wasn't really worth using. The main reason I say that is because I already have a team that actually farms Lua Senya Choux teams 100%, and I can just fucking auto it, and I don't even have to pay attention to it. That being Christie, Shadow Knight, Pyllis, and Roana. And I mean, I tried it, and it still worked, but, like, basically, Navy Captain Landy didn't do shit. I'll consider maybe making that video about that, because that was actually the Wednesday GuildWar. I just don't know if I want to make it or not. There was some next level dumb shit that happened in that GuildWar because Ran is a stupid fucking retard, but we'll talk about that another day. So, we got through that one fight, and now we're going to go into another Conqueror Lilias Senya, and in this case, Mercedes team. So, it's essentially going to be the same shit as a Conqueror Lilias Senya and a Choux. It's just, there's not really anything to worry about. Yeah, you have Roana here to basically deal with any and all Magic for Friends shenanigans that Mercedes is going to do. You have Roana here to deal with any and all counter shenanigans that the Senya is going to do to you. And you have Roana here to basically deal with any and all of the Conqueror Lilias shenanigans in terms of extra attacks and dual attacks and all that other shit that she's going to do. So you have a very, very stable team that has lots and lots of HP that can go into this. Sure, we still deal with, like, the problem of being blinded and provoked, but the fact that, like, ML Landy also has sustain if she happens to land her salvo, which is the extra attack that attacks the entire team. Anytime that happens, based on her attack, which constantly increases throughout the fight, by the way, she just straight up gets free heals. Yo, totally legit fucking character. 100%. But, like, the one thing in particular that I want to talk about isn't necessarily using Navy Captain Landy on offense, but I'm a little bit concerned about seeing her on defense. I'm very, I guess I'm concerned the fact that I'm not really seeing her on defense yet, because in all honesty, if I was going to do, like, a Navy Captain Landy defense, I would probably do something along the lines of Navy Captain Landy, Bellion, and then perhaps Unbound Knight Arowell. It depends on whichever third unit that you want to bring. You could even bring Apocalypse Ravi if you wanted to. The main reason why I see that as an issue is because you're dealing with Navy Captain Landy that gives crit resist to the entire team, and then you also are dealing with a Bellion. And depending on the Bellion build that you have, I would probably recommend Injury, because if you're running Injury on her, then that creates a different priority target. You see, like, it compounds into a big, huge fucking mess, into which I can only imagine there's, like, only one way you could really fight this shit, and it would have to be control. It would just have to be. I can't think of any other way that you would fight that fucking cancer. And the way in which it would work is, you have Navy Captain Landy there, but people want to kill her, because as soon as she gets access to her S3, the fucking fight's over. That has 60% def pen, and it does an insane amount of damage, and it fucking stuns. So your only hope of surviving that is if you have just super cracked HP and you have, like, some decent defense, because that's going to be bypassed by 60%. And then if you have a Bellion on that team that's also on Injury, by the by, then you have just injury going into the team, which is going to reduce their HP pools, and you have two priority target units, pretty much, that you want to kill both of them. And it's just a matter of, you can only do so much with Roana. Like, that's kind of like how I look at it. Maybe you could, like, Roana, Shadow Knight, Pyllis, and then maybe LRK it or something. I haven't seen it on defense to really try it, but whenever I think of Navy Captain Landy and Bellion together, I think of just absolute fucking hyper cancer, and I straight up do not want to fucking fight it. But, yeah. So naturally, I've been talking about, like, defense and all that other jazz when it comes to Navy Captain Landy, because when you use her on offense, straight up, if she's not, like, the priority tank, because the AI is stupid, they're not going to know, like, who's, like, the most important unit to hit, and it just leaves you free to use, like, Navy Captain Landy as, like, the support DPS, who also is fairly thick, that's just in your sidelines, and every time that she procs an extra attack, that's big damage. So, like, that's how you use her on offense. It just feels kind of overpowered. So, last match here. So we got Abigail Yum Yum, we got Savior Adin, and we have ae-KARINA. So I was not expecting to go first, so I naturally just took this as a chance. Okay, cool, I'll just go ahead and provoke that Abigail real quick, so that she doesn't go into my Yulha immediately, because the big thing that Abigail's going to do, Abigail has two roles here. So Abigail is either going to provide the immortality to whoever's in the back row, in this case Savior Adin, if the Savior Adin ever hits 0 HP, or she's going to do her S3 on whoever her target is that deals pretty hefty injury damage, as well as providing Curse, but Curse isn't really a factor here because we're not using DPS units, we're using HP scalers, because the only injury coming out is going to be Abigail. She's only going to go into Yulha, so I'm not even remotely worried about that. And we have Shuna here, who is just going to tank any and all hits from the ae-KARINA. Because anytime you're dealing with ae-KARINA and you don't have a dedicated tank that can take her shit, and especially if it's an ae-KARINA that even has, like, somewhat respectable effectiveness, well, you run a pretty high risk of getting death broken, and whenever you're death broken by the ae-KARINA, you take a metric fucking shitload of damage, and it becomes really, really difficult to fucking recover. So, thankfully, we have a means of really kind of preventing getting absolutely fucking wrecked by this shit. So, maybe my mind was immediately thinking, oh fuck, I have Death Break right now, but, like, keep in mind where my mindset is right here. I must have been thinking at this particular moment, oh yeah, I still have Death Break, even though right now I only have Death Block on me, right, or Buff Block on me right now. So, we've already killed the Abigail. We did it with the S3 that the Yulha had. So right here, now all we have left is ae-KARINA and Savior Adin. So my brain must have been thinking, oh, we still have, like, Death Break, which isn't even that big of a deal, because even if we did still have Death Break, I'm pretty sure it would have already been cleansed, because I think ae-KARINA only really does Death Break for 1 turn if it's an S1, and it's a 2 turn if it's an S3. So we have enough effect resist on Shuna to really resist the Death Break, but because, like, here's where the issue is now we have to go through a whole bunch of fucking nonsense trying to get the ae-KARINA to hit into my Dark Corvus now. So this is where the issue was, because I killed the Savior Adin. Now, if I didn't kill the Savior Adin, then we would have probably been probably at our 3rd Devil's Descent already by now, and then it would have been, 100% in the clear. So that's, like, one thing that you can always try your best to remember is anytime that you're fighting an ae-KARINA Savior Adin team of any kind, and you have a Aureus user on your team, in this case being Yulha, and you also have a very good red bait for the ae-KARINA, in this case Shuna, who's also a healer, by the by, so you're just going to straight up get lots of heals, I would already be done with this match. Like, 100%. So now we have Devil's Descent, so the next turn that Dark Corvus gets, then we can just go ahead and delete the ae-KARINA. Not a big deal, it's just a matter of, oh cool, I just wasted everybody's time, but hey, whatevs, we can listen to more of the music that's playing in the background. Yay! Drink your drinks. Yum. And with that being said, that is pretty much the Guild War. So yeah, hope you guys weren't, like, waiting with bated breath for me to release this video, because I always do these videos in terms of, like, oh hey, cool, I make the AMV or the music version of it the first day, and then the very next day I do a commentary for it. And yeah, like I said, the reason why this was so delayed was because I was just fucking wrecked. I was wrecked on Tuesday. I came home, I went to fucking sleep, and by the time I was up, oh cool, 3 a.m. Fuck this. And then, of course, like Wednesday rolls around, which also happens to be just the worst fucking day of the week. I fucking hate Wednesdays. I hate Wednesday Guild Wars. It is... I despise Wednesday. And of course, my very first match that I got was like some Ran shit. Ran R&L shit, mind you. So whenever I get hit by that stuff, then I'm in an immensely sour mood. But, hey, with that being said, that was pretty much like the reason why everything was so delayed. I do apologize that it was taking me so damn long to get this out. Because, like, this one was actually one I was looking forward to making because it was ML Landy doing ML Landy things. And if I decide to make the Wednesday one, it'll pretty much be an ML Landy doing ML Landy things, but also Ran doing Ran things, and also where you should probably not use ML Landy, and in this case, pretty much being like Lewis and Yashu teams, which you would think it would be okay, but you still do run a risk of getting killed by shit like that. But hey, looky there, I'm out of time. If you guys like this video, go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to see more of my content, go ahead and hit subscribe, and you see more rambling like this. Later.